There we go. There we go. PFC 184 fantasy talk for all you Premier League fans. We're in here giving you guys the scoop, who to pick up, who to sell, who to keep, and who to take a risk on. But before we get into that, let's review our picks from last week. Huss, how did they do?
Oh, the picks. The picks are doing well. They're still producing, but they're not where I want them to be. Because I got the buys had 16 points last week. The keeps had 9 points. The sells had 7, and the risk had 11. But I want the buys and the risk to be around 20 to 30. So right now I'm still below what I want, but they're still producing more than the sellers. So we're on the right track.
Absolutely.
And then let's go after the dream team. This was a weird week a little bit. I mean, Elliot and Lascelles, I don't know. Yeah, from Newcastle. I guessed, I predicted rather, the Newcastle clean sheet. We'll get into that a little bit. But they're on the dream team. We got Davies from Tottenham. Didn't expect that with the 14. Kiko Femina from Watford with 11. I mean, we already talked about Gross from Brighton getting 18. I predicted that one in like August, but I wanted him to do more all the other weeks. But hopefully gains traction, at least for my sake. Then we got Chupo Martin, who's actually listed as a midfielder, but I thought he played more of a striker role for Stoke.
He definitely played striker role, and there are a few players like that, guys. If you've been playing fantasy for a while, you'll notice that certain guys, when you're actually watching the game, which is why it's important to watch the game as well, not just do the fantasy, you'll see them playing forward, but listed here in the game as a midfielder. Those are the kind of guys you want to pick up because midfield goals are worth more than forward goals. And in real life, if they're playing forward, then obviously you're going to get midfield goal credit for that. So you want to keep an eye on that. We'll mention a couple of guys who are going through that this season. Last season, it was Alexis Sanchez was the obvious one. He was listed as a midfielder the whole year, if you can believe that. And he was playing forward for Arsenal.
And we're going to take a note of that. Maybe I can get a list out for you, so maybe help you a little. Then Sane got 13, but everyone knows Sane is good. Aubameyang from West Ham with 11. And then you got Welbeck, Kane, Jesus, which is a trifecta that pretty much, Welbeck gets 16 points to lead the way for the strikers. But Kane and Jesus, you kind of knew that they were going to be up there.
Yeah, it's getting to that point, man, where there's starting to be some obvious performers that, are baseline that you have to pick up. Like Harry Kane, we all know is a stud. So if you haven't got Harry Kane, I'm not quite sure what you're up to because there aren't that many forwards right now that are hot. So there are certain obvious forwards, and right now I think Harry Kane is one of them.
So before we get into this coming week, let's go after the table. Top 5 people. We got Mohamed Helmi, Ali FC still up top, but he had a weak 33-point match week. So he's 254 points overall. Then you got Sean Maroney coming at him with ABCDEFC.
Sorry, Huss. This might be one of my favorite team names of the year. Every time I hear it, I get a little smile on my face. ABCDEFC. That's brilliant.
I feel like I'm stumbling on it every single time.
I know. It looks so wrong. You want to read it when you see it. You're like, Abkada?
I didn't. I wish I did. He got game week points of 50. So he's only 5 points behind the top place with 249. And then Wayne Spiteri changing the name again.
He's had enough of talking smack to you and Tom. He's back to his old name, Team Violence, bringing the violence.
He got 57 points this week. So he's tied in second with 249 points. Is Wayne Spiteri, Team Violence, are they going to hit the top spot?
Dude, he's threatening. He's making a lot of noise. For a guy who talks a lot of smack, he backs it up pretty well, too.
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's the bride or always the bridesmaid.
Whoa.
Then we got Kevlar Ravens. And first off, Marty McFly, 56 points for the week, 245 points overall. this is the only player in our league that somehow has like a picture. It almost looks like a Taurus, like a V. It's crazy. If you let us know how to do that, that'd be great. Send us
Yeah,
a
little
message.
icon in the name. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. So Marty, you got 10-point bonus from me. So you're actually leading the league right now in 255. Just for style points. So then in fifth, we got Kona FC, Ricky
Kanoha.
Oh, sorry, Kanoha. It's still a little early for me right now. Ricky Kurdiawana, Juan. I don't know.
Kurdiawan.
Yeah. I don't even know why I'm the one that's doing the table. I can't say the names. He got 43 points in the week. And then 228 overall. So he's not too far behind.
No, 234.
234. Sorry, I was reading Wayne Powell.
Dude, speaking of Wayne Powell, I think this is my buddy from high school back in South Africa, if you guys don't know. I was South African born, moved here in like 2002 or so, midway through South African high school, joined midway through American high school. Wayne Powell, dude, if it's the same Wayne Powell, I haven't talked to you in, Jesus, like 10, 15 years, but very happy to see you in the league doing work, absolutely grinding. He got 75 points this week, the second highest game week points, and he's sitting at 228 in sixth place. Very impressive. Wayne Powell, thanks for joining the league, buddy. Send me a message. Let's catch up.
And now is the time for the most points in the week.
Oh, boy. Little drum roll.
I have to give tons of love out to Holly Williams, representing the ladies.
Doing work. Killing it.
Vincent C.O. Dot, as in Vincent Company, for the people that don't understand, gets 76 points overall. 201 points, 76 overall in the week, 201 overall in the game, and she's moved up all the way to 28. So there's no more jokes right now. She's representing, and yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got to show love. Got to show love. She got more than me.
There you go. Huss is now officially out of the doghouse. Well, halfway out. He still has another apology to make, but we'll save that for another game week.
Wait, you're talking about the apology to Kara?
Yeah.
Well, I gave it to her over this right here before one of the shows. But, I'm going to be seeing her this coming week, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the weekend after.
Yeah, the week after. Actually, no, it's next week, dude. You'll be seeing her next week when me and her are getting married. That's right. September 23rd. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'll have to... I have to say some sort of apology after she's had a couple of glasses of something.
We might make you just make an apology speech at the wedding. Stop the music. Huss has something to say.
Yeah, then you're going to have me pronounce everyone's name.
All right.
All
right. So let's get into this. Before we get into the buy, keep, sell, risk, let's real quick touch on the PFC host standings. And our expert, Huss Bussington, is running away with it for now. With the PFC host, he's sitting in 11th with 63 points overall. 63 points for the game week and 216 overall.
218.
218, my bad. Sorry, I was trying to steal those 2 points from you. In second place, real league position, 41st place, is myself with 58 points last week. And I got 183 overall. In third place / 45th place, we got Al, who got 34 points and 181 overall. Fifth place, you got Rain Man, a.k.a. Fareed, who's also in 63rd place in the league, sitting at 50 points for the game week and 166 overall. And you got my brother, Tom, brother from the same mother, actually, sitting in fifth position in the host position league, but 73rd overall, down there like a true Arsenal boy, dragging. Yeah. You got 47 points for the game week and 150 overall. Damn, Tom's got work to do. Still early though, but it's fun to watch Huss absolutely crap on him every time we have a show. Before we hit that record button, Tom's just going in on Arsenal, going in on fantasy. He's loving life right now. Tom's absolutely hating life. Great.
Oh,
it's absolutely great.
You know what? At that wedding of yours, I'm gonna have to probably talk to Gomes. One of my favorite names, Game of Thrones, but sitting in 76. Come on.
Yeah, he's got to step up. He's got to step up.
But he's bigger than me, so I can't say much.
I know. We'll crush you. And don't get too loud. Don't get too loud.
I'll save that round.
All right, let's get into it. For the match day 5 coming up this weekend, we got your buy players, your sell players, your keep players, and your risk players. Huss, we're going to start with the goalkeepers, move into defenders, midfielders, and forwards, and wrap it up with a captain's pick. Huss, let's get into the goalkeepers. Who you buying this week?
Well, before I get into the goalkeepers, I want to talk about the matchups real quick.
That's right.
There's not a lot of good matchups this week. Favorable matchups. We got Watford versus Man City. Man City is flying right now. I'm not going to waste your time telling you who to pick up from Man City. You should try to pick up everybody. Well, you can only pick up three. Three?
Yeah. Yep.
But I mean, it's one of those things. Maybe I'll bring one or two guys up between this game and the other game, which is Spurs versus Swansea. Spurs, again, they're starting to get the traction underneath them. They're almost like those cartoon characters who run in place, and then finally they're taken off. And then the unfavorable matchups, we've got Bournemouth versus Brighton. It's not so much I don't think one team's going to win or the other. It's just I don't know who because it's just up in the air right now. This game could be 0-0 or it could be 3-3. Nobody knows because Brighton looked good in some of the games, looked okay. And then Bournemouth has looked miserable. They have 0 points on the year. Then you got Crystal Palace, another team with 0 points. But then Southampton. But Crystal Palace has Big Roy coming in.
Yep.
So right now, I'm in the standpoint where I don't see him scoring many goals. But whenever a manager comes in, there is usually a little bit of a bump in progress and performance. So I'm thinking it might be a draw right there. Could be a 0-0. Could be a 1-1. Not sure. Then we got Huddersfield versus Leicester. Liverpool versus Burnley. And even though I'm a Liverpool fan, Burnley beat him last year, I believe, at least once. And then Liverpool, we don't know what you're doing. This could be, with Mane out, and then Salah, hopefully he's fully fit. Coutinho, hopefully he's fully fit mentally. But this could be a 10-0 win Liverpool, or this could be a 2-2 draw, or 0-0 draw. We don't know.
Or even a loss, man, as long as there's respect there.
Yeah. And then you got Newcastle versus Stoke. Both teams have looked pretty good in the last couple of weeks. West Brom versus West Ham. Ooh, West Brom has not been looking pretty good. And then West Ham just got the win on Monday, so they looked pretty decent. And then we got 2 big games at the end. We got Chelsea versus Arsenal. Oh. I still think Chelsea's going to win, but you don't know because we saw the
FA Cup final, yeah.
Well, yeah, FA Cup final, and then also Community Shields.
Yep.
So, Arsenal won.
Yeah, look, Arsenal's good at playing up to their competition. Now, obviously, they've gotten smacked before, but there's just something about those big games where Arsenal, a lot of the times, will step up. So, to your point, Huss, this could go either way.
And then, excuse me, we got Man United versus Everton. United's missing Pogba, obviously, and Everton. This is why Koeman was brought in. Games like this. It wasn't to beat the little teams because they had managers that could do that. It's the top 6 teams they need to get the 3 points against. And that's why they brought in a legend.
Yep, absolutely. The cool thing about this matchup is that Lukaku is facing his old team. Rooney is facing his old team. So there'll be a bit of drama going on. I don't anticipate Rooney will get booze or anything. And if he does, those fans should be kicked out. So it'll be interesting to see if Rooney's actually pumped for this one, steps up. He might be a little secret pickup, but we'll get into that.
Well, first off, if those United fans do boo Rooney, they should honestly be kicked out again. I know it's like freedom of speech, whatever, but he didn't necessarily want to leave. It's just that he wasn't getting playing time. And if anything, he grew up in Everton. He's not United. He is Everton. He has in his blood. He can marry into United, but he is born into Everton, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
So we got goalkeepers right now. I'm going to buy Fraser Forster, Southampton. If you want to look at him, let's bring him up. I forgot to bring him up. But he's 5 overall in price, 8% own him. So it's not too bad with the price. But Southampton's taking on Palace. Away, but still, Palace. What I was talking about with Crystal Palace with Southampton, again, this very well could be a 0-0 tie because not too many people on Southampton scare me when it comes to goals. But I see Foster. He's a very good goalie. I see this being a clean sheet for Palace.
Dig it.
I'm going to keep, even though they have 0 points on the year, if you have him, don't buy him, but if you already have him on your team, keep Begovic, Bournemouth. He's 4.5 overall. He's still owned by 4.9%, so a lot of people still have a decent faith in him. But
I'm one of those 4.9%.
And then they're facing Brighton. So, again, don't know what the score is going to be. But Bournemouth was almost too good last year to be doing this bad. They finished 10th or so, or roughly. It was them and West Brom. It was the 9th and 10th, one of them. So Bournemouth, Begovic, got to go for it. Well, got to at least keep it for one more because Bournemouth has Brighton, Everton, Leicester, Spurs, Stoke. So Brighton, very good. Everton, they'll probably lose. Leicester, you don't know. And then after that, I'd probably say sell. And sell Courtois, Chelsea. I know that sounds weird because Chelsea is starting to get the legs underneath them as well. But 5.5 price, 4.5% bought. But Chelsea's facing Arsenal. Again, they struggle with them. Then they have Stoke, who could be a giant killer this year. We already saw it with United. And then, a tie. That's still taking points away.
Yeah.
And then you got City. For the next 3 games, I wouldn't keep Courtois because there's too many goalies out there that you're wasting maybe half a point, maybe a full point on him where you could use it somewhere else. And then the risk is Nick Pope from Burnley.
Yeah.
Because he's 4.5, only 0.1% own him. Heaton is out for the next 4 months or so. And Burnley is taking on I can't remember his name. I have it in my phone, but I don't want to waste time. Pereira, I want to say. But he's from United. But I think Pope's going to get the start against Liverpool.
You're talking about the goalkeeper, Joel Pereira, who's a United goalkeeper who's out on loan.
Thank you. That's who I'm definitely thinking about. And then Heaton, like I said, out for 4 months. They beat Chelsea. They drew the Spurs. Liverpool just had a draw. Mane's not playing. We don't know right now. We know that there's gonna be probably 30 shots from Liverpool. So even if they score 2, if he saves 12, he gets 4 points. So it's almost like he's gaining that back.
Yeah, and Nick Pope came in last week, if I'm not mistaken, when they were playing Crystal Palace, and he had a great save on Benteke. Basically, that save was the save that got Frank de Boer fired. Because if Benteke puts that away, Crystal Palace goes on to win. Frank de Boer is probably given another week to survive. So Nick Pope made a hell of a kick save on Benteke. Looks solid. That was his first Premier League game. It's going to be most likely a second Premier League game coming up this weekend. So definitely a risky one to keep an eye on.
But again, it's a risk because after Liverpool, Burnley has Huddersfield, which has been really good this year. Everton's going to be really tough. Then West Ham, who might in 3 or 4 weeks be fully fit, be fully aware of what the situation is going to be. So they might be on there. So you know what? Maybe sell him after this match. Or give him
we'll see how he does. Yep.
Especially because we don't know if he's going to be starting with the other goalkeepers coming in because they said that they want 3 fully fit goalkeepers at the moment.
That's why he's a risk.
So, defenders. Let's get into defenders. We got Fusa, Mensah. And I say
Fosu.
What?
Fosu.
Why is that? Is it really?
Yes, Fosu Mensah, not Fusa. Yeah. Fuso Mensah. Listen, every episode you're adding new guys to mispronounce. This is great. We're gonna make a T-shirt and just list all the guys you mispronounce phonetically. It's gonna be great, dude.
And you know what? I have him as a buy. I don't even know why I have him as a buy. It's just a gut feeling. He's 4.5, 1.7%. His fixtures say don't buy him. But Southampton, again, I am just not afraid of him offensively. But after that, they get City, United, Chelsea. But he's cheap enough where you can keep him on your bench. So then after that, you got Newcastle, West Ham, and Spurs. And so I would say buy him, keep him on your bench, bring him up for Newcastle, West Ham, because every time Castle play, they seem to lose. But there's always something said good about him. Everyone seems to be impressed. And like I said, 1.7% owned by him. So if you do get points, you're the only one getting points, basically. Then we got Lovren. I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him because when he messes up, he normally comes in pretty good the week after. And he messed up. Look, we talked about it on the last ep. He messed up. He's not that great. But everyone knows that. But he's good enough to be on Liverpool at the moment, just not as the first. Maybe not as the second, but he might be the best at the moment. But they got Burnley, Leicester, Newcastle coming up. Those are teams that Liverpool should beat and very well could get 3 clean sheets. Will they?
Probably not.
Probably not. But against Burnley, who's been kind of struggling, and then Newcastle, I could see it happen. Leicester, I'm assuming Vardy's probably got to sneak one through because that's what he does, especially against Liverpool, who he 2 years ago dominated. But Lovren, I still have faith.
Cool.
Sell. We're staying with Liverpool. Milner. And this was a tough decision for me. Like James Milner, if anyone listens to the show, you know how much Fareed and myself love James Milner. He's the man. He's one of the best players in the world, obviously.
I don't know about that, but okay.
But you know what? Because last year he was ranked as a midfielder, so he's high in price. So it's like he's playing midfielder or defense, so you can't really pick him up. This year, he's ranked as a defender, so it's great. I can pick him up. Wait, hold up. He's still ranked, but he's still priced at 6.4. He's one of the most expensive defenders, and all his goals came from penalties. True, if he played in the Champions League game against Sevilla, yeah, I think he would have scored that. But he didn't play because Moreno's starting to look good. So you can't keep Milner at 6.4. He's owned by 4.3% of the people. I think that's way too much. I think with Moreno going back and forth, you can't waste probably about 1.5 pounds. You could probably find someone for 5 that is just as doable. Maybe gets more points than Milner this year. So it's a waste of price right there. Too bad. Because I wish he was at like 5. Then I'd be like, I don't know, maybe just low enough where you could keep him on your bench a little bit. Then the risk. Shane Duffy, Brighton.
Love it.
4.5 priced, 0.6%. Talking about being by yourself is owned. And then, again, Bournemouth. Look, we thought Defoe was going to come in here, get his normal 10, 15 goals on the season. But because Josh King hasn't been really playing well. No one has been playing excessive. Well, you know what? The one play that they very well could be missing is Jack Wilshere from Arsenal that was on loan there last year.
Yeah.
And I thought they should have went for another loan this year. But they didn't. Bournemouth is looking horrible, and their offense is just looking miserable.
Yeah, at some point they'll click, but as of now, they're definitely one of the struggling teams in the league, have yet to find a win.
Yeah, but why not go for this guy?
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah, let's actually look him up real quick. I didn't have him up. Oh, actually, we'll rewind. Oh no, I am tired. I thought we were on midfielders. Oh my god,
Rough night.
I was talking to you guys, and then I stayed up for fantasy. Midfielders. Let's get into midfielders real quick. Bye. This Tiki's going to be happy about because he just played Tuesday, so it's affirmative that he's going to be on the team. Coutinho.
Philippe Coutinho.
8.8 priced, 2.5% owned. Mane's out again, so he's playing on the left. It's almost perfect for Coutinho to move right in. He's going to be playing with Salah, who's just as dangerous as Mane was last year. It's going to be basically the same type of team. Firmino's going to be out there. Maybe he's going to have Moreno, who's one of his best buddies on the team, behind him. You don't know. So I think Coutinho and Liverpool are going to be fine. I could definitely see a goal coming against Burnley to lift the weight off his shoulders a little bit. But at the same time, maybe he still doesn't want to be there. So this is sort of a risky buy pick, but I say at this price, you can't really fudge around with it. Just pick him up now because if he scores in the next 2 weeks, he's looking at 9, so he just gained 0.2. If he scores in another couple in the next month or so, we're looking at maybe 9.2, 9.3, so you got yourself half a point to work with for the rest of the year.
I love it.
And then keep Shaqiri. Stoke. I mean, Stoke is going after – who are they going after this week? I can't find stuff. Oh, Newcastle. I mean, they look pretty good, but it's no one to be afraid of. Shaqiri, they played well against United. And he came out midweek talking about how when people face United, they just have to be brave.
Yeah.
So if they just keep on playing, if they just keep going at teams, then they'll be fine. Because Shaqiri, again, he's an underrated winger playing on a team that's mid to low mid table. He's only 5.9 priced, 2.6% owned. This guy can get you multiple points for a really inexpensive price. Sell. We all know he got hurt, but it's not all about that he's going to be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm talking about Paul Pogba, United. His price is 8.3. You can't waste that amount of money.
On the bench.
Well, if you do have a 0.5 left over in your bank, sell him, pick up Coutinho, because Coutinho is going to be playing for at least the next 3 weeks with Mane out. Pogba is going to be at least out for the next 3 weeks with his injury, so it makes sense. And 34% own Pogba. So I see that 2.5 for Coutinho to skyrocket to at least 15 by the weekend.
Dude, I love it. Pogba threw a monkey wrench in everyone's fantasy team. I had a couple buddies who were playing in this league text me this morning like, God damn it, Pogba. So I don't like that he's hurt because I love my club, but I like that now these fantasy guys have to go out and try to find someone who's going to get that productivity.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not picking up Coutinho, then they're just not doing their homework. But even when Pogba comes back, so let's say Pogba missed United's matchups with Everton, Southampton, Palace. After that, let's say he comes back in the 4th week, they face Liverpool, Huddersfield. And I know Huddersfield, I'm saying pretty weak right there, but still, they're looking pretty good this year. Spurs, Chelsea. So at least 3 out of those 4 games are going to be very tough. So even if he comes back in that 4th matchup, we're looking at 7 matchups where Pogba probably won't be that effective, or at least won't be scoring a goal and assist.
Yeah, it'll be a tough run of games.
Risk. I feel like I've said Southampton a lot today, but risk. Stephen Davies, Southampton, 5, owned by 1.2%. Again, Southampton is they're not facing a very good team when it comes down to Crystal Palace. Because with Zaha out, Palace is all over the place. They don't have any organization on the field. So this could really work in Davies' favor. You got the assist last week. So he can get assists. He can get goals. So, again, risk. Let's move on to strikers. Buy. The obvious buy in the world is Harry Kane. And
Yeah.
you start off so slow, then he has he has a back-to-back brace when it comes down to league and Champions League. Tottenham's looking good. Spurs has one of the easiest matchups when it comes down to Swansea. No disrespect to Swansea, but they're not playing Chelsea. They're not playing United. You know, they're not playing City. They're playing one of the lower teams. Then after that, Spurs have West Ham, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, and then even Liverpool, who do have a leaky defense. And if you do want to stick with Kane for one more game against United, you have Palace right after that. And then we have Arsenal, who's been leaky at times, and then West Brom, who hasn't been trained. You could keep Harry Kane for the next, 10 weeks and be fine with it.
And you know he's going to score. So even if he doesn't score against Liverpool and United, odds are he'll probably score against Arsenal. Or, like out of those 3 tough games, he'll score at least 1 goal in those 3 tough games because he's such a beast. So Harry Kane is such a no-brainer, guys. Like I was saying at the start of the episode, this guy's hot. Ride him until he's not hot.
But because he's a no-brainer, I don't want to get into that. Because I told you at the beginning, I'm trying to stay away from Spurs and City. But because I'm going to go with a City guy, I feel like it's a double whammy. We're looking at Gabriel Jesus. This guy, he's a better value maybe at 10.4. He's only owned by 9.6% of the team.
Which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. 10% of the teams own Gabi Jesus. I don't get that.
I've had him from day one because once I saw his price, I was like you have to be in my team. Same thing with like Lacazette, and I wish I had room for Morata because that might actually be my 3 going forward for the season, even though I want Lukaku and Kane. But that 3 matchup at roughly 10 or 10.5 each, that saves so much room for good midfielders.
Definitely.
But City have Watford, who Fareed says is a team to watch, but I feel like they're going to be watching a lot of City play around them and scoring goals.
Yeah.
Then after Watford, you got Palace. Chelsea's going to be a hard matchup. Stoke, Burnley, West Brom. Then you got Arsenal, who I think still won't do much against I'm reading Man City. I thought I was reading United. But Arsenal, I don't see them doing much against City. And then you got Leicester, Huddersfield. So this could very well be a cakewalk for Jesus in the next 10 weeks. Keep Firmino. Look, I know Firmino missed the penalty. He still got a goal. He still looked effective. Look, we talk about this Champions League game like it was a loss. It's a tie. It's a draw. And they absolutely dominated Sevilla. The one thing that happened was that they didn't score. Well, they didn't score that much. And to say that Liverpool had a bad game because they only scored 2, that's how potent this offense is. And last year, him and Coutinho, when they got on the field together, it just seemed to click. Everything they did just seemed to just look like magic. But now with Salah there, pulling the roll down because Mane got the red card, that's where the depth came in by bringing him in. And I don't think they're losing much by having Salah in there. But he's only 8.6. So I actually have him in my team because at 8.6, he already has 28 points on the season. I mean, that's insane. And he's owned by 31.1% of the people, so at least people are starting to do their homework. After that, they have Burnley, Leicester, Newcastle, as I already said. I might even keep him for the United Spurs games. And then Huddersfield, West Ham, Southampton. And this guy's lined up to get multiple points. He could actually be the steal of the year. I know I said that about a couple people, but at 8.6, I bought him at 8.5. This guy very well could be top 5. He could be almost like Jermaine Defoe last year, where he was top 5 for so long in points.
Yeah.
And he was only ranked at, I think 7.5.
Yeah, he's really making that number 9 position his own. I know when he came in at Liverpool, they were still trying to work out Sturridge, Origi. But it looks like that position's his to lose. Sturridge is right in the bench. Origi barely sees any time. And then you got Solanke coming through as well. So Firmino looks like the go-to guy at that 9 spot. So definitely it's not like last year where he's playing sometimes on the wing, sometimes a little deeper in the midfield. Really consider taking this guy. I don't have him on my team necessarily, but I do have him on my watch list. And like I said, 6 out of his next 8 games are pretty reasonable as far as, fantasy points are concerned. So it's definitely someone to keep an eye on. At 30% owned as well.
So on to sellers, and it just kind of reminds me of the day that we did the draft, because we were like, oh, how does the transactions work? And Tom was like, oh, I'm going to try it out. I'm like, all right, I won't touch your player at all. So he chose a player, and then he's like, oh, I can't get him back. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, guys, don't take him. Don't take him. Well, come to find out, I'm still trying to stay away from those teams that I told you I'm going to stay away from. So I'm going to give you another play after this. But Tom was talking about Benteke. Oh, my God. He should have sold him and just got a new player literally that night.
Should have never drafted him. Should have never drafted him. Like I said, before the season started. Look, Benteke is good. But ever since Aston Villa, man, he's taken a dip. I know he got 15 goals last year for Palace, but it was 15 goals spread apart. You didn't know where those goals were coming, when they were coming. So he's a guy he's not even a risk. If you're serious about fantasy, unless you get some kind of hot tip or you have some kind of crazy theory for one match week, stay away from this dude. Palace offensively without Zaha is basically toothless, so.
Well, you can also see it in the fantasy anyways, that except for like probably 8 forwards, but I mean, everyone is just at 4% or less, almost 5% owned or less, because everyone has pretty much the same strikers. And I don't really blame them, because I have those strikers too. It's a smart thing to do. But Benteke at 7.8 priced. I mean, unless if Crystal Palace is facing a team who have an average height of 6'1", and I'm talking about feet and inches in height, then don't pick this guy up, because he's only going to – I see him scoring – I could very well see Benteke scoring less than 12 goals this season. And
yeah, look, it's possible. Palace is struggling, but we got Roy Hodgson coming back to manage in the EPL. So like you said, that could be that, that motivational bump that you get for those first 2 or 3 games, and there's fresh blood in the locker room, fresh message. Everyone's pumped. Everyone's trying to impress the new manager so they can get game time. So he might, look, the next couple of weeks he might do well, but don't get honey-dicked. I mean, overall, unless Zaha is on this team, Benteke is going to struggle for supply.
And also in January, there's already rumors that Roy is going to go for Jack Wilshere to bring him in from Arsenal. So if he comes in, he could almost be Palace's new version of Cabaye. Someone that's kind of been bouncing around, but now that Cabaye's getting a little older, maybe bring a new creative play in Jack. So maybe he would work well with Zaha if Zaha stays in January. No one even knows. Cool. That's also if he's fully fit and everything. But off Benteke, because we know that's a waste. Oh, sorry. He's 14th. He's the 14th most owned striker in fantasy. He should be like 20th, 30th. My God. Anyways, going into it, Josh King, Bournemouth. He was one of the best midfielder picks by the end of last year at his price, but now that they switched into a striker and Defoe coming in, Wilson, he's not fully fit yet, but when he comes back, we don't know what King's going to do. But he at 7.3, 2.6 owned. Done. I'm done with Josh King.
What does it sell?
Oh, yeah, sell. I mean, because I didn't want to give too many Crystal Palace players to sell, I'm going to just do double down. Josh King, he might be done for the whole year with me, because I had him probably more than half the season last year. I picked him up, I think, right before January or so, and I just stayed with him. But no love lost. Well, there is some heart feelings.
Clearly love lost.
But Josh King, I wish he could produce, but he just isn't. There's too many good options, especially at, like we said, 10, 10.5 to not pick this guy up. Risk. Vardy, Leicester. I mean, he's 8.5, just like Firmino. This guy is a streaky type of striker. He could score one game, no goals for the next 5, and then he could just absolutely annihilate the league for 12 goals in the next 10 weeks. We don't know. And then he's owned by 11% of the league. Leicester have Huddersfield, Liverpool, Bournemouth, West Brom, Swansea, Everton, Stoke. I mean, these are winnable matchups for Leicester if Vardy is putting it in the net. So, I mean, captain, should I even say Harry Kane, or should I go for somebody else?
I mean, Harry Kane is the obvious one. Let's definitely give the people the obvious choice. People's risk appetites are different. I'm probably going to go with Harry Kane, home game this week. It looks like he's back to scoring for fun. But with my superstitions, anytime I see a player score midweek during either FA Cup, EFL Cup, or Champions League, I tend to get superstitious and think, okay, he's done with his goals for that week. He might not have any goals left for the weekend. But looking at the matchup, I think I'm going to put that superstition aside and stick with Harry Kane as my captain.
Yeah, well, if I was not going Harry Kane, I would go Jesus. But those seem too obvious. I hate obvious picks.
Look, Huss, obviously you can list a bunch. The obvious ones, give the people the obvious ones, because it might be obvious to us because we're obsessed with the sport, but someone else who's doing this for the first time doesn't necessarily want, to pick Gross as their captain, their risk captain. So you can have different levels of captain. You can have your obvious ones, Jesus, Lukaku, Kane, and then you have your risky captains as well. So don't be ashamed to list the obvious ones, because not everyone listening to this podcast is as obsessed as we are.
All right, then risk-wise, Coutinho.
Wow.
That's a huge risk.
That's a massive risk, considering we don't even know if he's going to start. But he did get 30 minutes midweek in Champions League. And obviously, if you go with my theory, it's not even much of a theory. It's almost a science at this point. When a player is injured, the way they bring him back, they bleed him back into the squad, depending on the position. But for the most part, they give him 30, comes on as a sub around the 60th minute, gets 30 minutes. The next game, he starts and plays 60 minutes, comes off at 60. And then the game after that, he'll play his 90 or 70, 80 minutes after that. So if you go with that theory, Coutinho got 30 minutes midweek or 20 minutes. Odds are he'll probably start, like you said, with Mane out as well. They just tied 2-2. It's going to be a hell of a Premier League race. So odds are he'll start, but it's definitely a risk considering he didn't get much of a preseason with Liverpool. But I like that shot, Huss. It's a brave shot.
Yeah, I almost wanted to go with Morata from Chelsea, who's facing Arsenal, but he seems to just be tearing it up. I mean, I had him as the easy choice last week, the obvious choice for a captain. And this week, I almost want to pick him just because he seems to put the ball in the net with any part of his body.
My risky captain for this week, and he's my vice captain currently, is Kevin De Bruyne. I think this guy is now playing more central. Now that Man City have fullbacks who can double as wingers in Walker, and on the other side they have Mendy. Those guys usually play the wing, which means everyone else is concentrated in the middle. David Silva, Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, Toure, Fernandinho. All those guys are now playing a much more central role. And Kevin De Bruyne in those tight spaces, that central role, is potent because he can shoot with both feet, he can cross with both feet, and he's an absolute wizard when he's on the ball. He can thread through balls you wouldn't expect. So for me, my risk captain, they're away at Watford, and that's for each team to watch. But I think they will most likely win. And if they do win, I think Kevin De Bruyne will have something to do with that, either be it an assist or a goal.
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne,
I think he's going to have a fire year, man. If he stays healthy, I think this guy might break some assist records. He's one of my favorite players on this planet. There are a few players who play on other teams that just, hurt my feelings every time I see them in the jersey. I got Willian at Chelsea, and I have Kevin De Bruyne at Man City, a few other players around the league. But these guys are guys, like, when they do well, I quietly smile, even if it hurts Man United. I'm just like, this guy's just, he's just special. He's just fun to watch. So Kevin De Bruyne, for me, is a guy who quietly is going to be one of the best players in the world.
Well, it's just a time. just any time coming, because we said that last year. Then he got injured. Then he started to fall off the face of the earth.
But even with the injury, he led the league in assists.
Well,
He took like 2 months off or something. Not 2 months off, but like, was out of commission for 2 months, and he still led the league in assists.
But that's because he did so well in the first half. I mean, the first half was outrageous. I mean, he was going to break the assist record with ease if he didn't get injured and if he kept playing the way he did. But when he came back, it was he started to just dip. But this year, I mean, he has so many more weapons around him.
Yeah, it does.
His life seems to be that much easier now because he just turns and he's like, oh, I can pass it to him. You can pass the ball to them anywhere within like 10 feet. They'll bring the ball down with one touch. These guys have pace. They can shoot from 30 yards out. I feel like he's like too many options. I was like, oh, who do I want to give it to? Who wants to score today? Raise your hand.
And he always makes the right decision, man. That's the thing I love about Kevin De Bruyne. Always makes the right pass. The pass is the right weight on it, which means it gets there on time. It goes where it's supposed to go. If you guys haven't watched him close, man, I recommend watching a Man City game and just keep your eye on Kevin De Bruyne. Forget about the ball for a bit. Keep your eye on this guy's movement, his work rate, his positioning, his defensive work rate as well. Damn, I'm jocking a Man City play. I got to stop. But Kevin De Bruyne, stud.
It's funny because there's times I will play FIFA. I'm like, why does FIFA have this guy rated so high on his sprint speed?
Yeah.
Because the guy just jogs. He's almost at the pace of Scholes. We would just jog and jog, get the ball, but there would just be a lofted pass right into someone's foot. Jog, and he has a rhythm and a flow to his game that just makes everything look so simplistic.
Definitely. All right, so that wraps it up for Fantasy Talk. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, hit us up. Let us know if we're crazy. Let us know if we're doing awesome. Just give us your opinion. We appreciate it. We'll keep these coming, helping you guys out in our fantasy league. And it's not too late to join. We're going to close the fantasy league probably around week 10 or so. Shut it down. So if you have friends who want to get into it now. I know the league started, four match days ago, but it's such a long season, guys. Trust me, even if you're down 200 points, you can easily make that up over the course of the season. So tell your friends, tell your mama, everyone sign up. Keep signing up. Another five match days or so left to sign up. And there'll be awards and prizes for the top competitors. Thanks for listening, guys. Anything else, Bussington?
The game is Friday.
Yes, don't sleep on those games Friday, guys. As you hear this, remember this game's Friday, so make sure you do your squad before those games on Friday, or you'll be locked up for the entire weekend.
That's huge because you have to get it in by, well, for us, because we got the Eastern time, we have to do it by almost noonish, like noon 1.
Yeah, around there, right before kickoff. So pay attention, guys. Hopefully you have a good fantasy week. We'll be back next week with this review / prediction / buy, keep, sell, risk. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.